The case against Mr. Bouachrine is a particularly weak case, legally and factually. It is flawed because, first of all, there's no lawful basis for him to be in prison, in detention at the moment. There's no custody order that has been issued by a judge which authorizes the authorities to keep him in prison. The Prosecutor General has used an exceptional provision, which doesn't apply in this case, to keep him in prison for an indefinite period of time. Now, this has been challenged to the Court of Cassation, and they have refused to look at it. So he has tried all of the remedies within the national system of Morocco, and none have properly and fairly considered this matter. So he is, in our opinion, being held arbitrarily and unlawfully in violation of the national law and, importantly, in violation of international human rights law as well. You should not ever be imprisoned unless there is a lawful basis. If you're sentenced for a crime, of course you can be put in prison. Or if you're awaiting trial, if the right legal provisions are in place under a judge, you can be also kept in prison. But none of those apply in the present case. And he should therefore, we say, be released immediately from prison. In relation to the facts of the case itself, a criminal case depends entirely on the evidence that is available, evidence that is admissible and that can be used in court. And yet in the present case, Mr. Bouachrine is held in jail and is on trial when there's no concrete and material evidence against him. There are both contradictions in the available evidence, but also a complete lack of sufficient evidence to go ahead with this trial. As I understand it from the evidence, many of those people who are meant to be victims and complainants have said in terms that they were not in any way forced to do anything with him, that they weren't subjected to any crimes. Others have said, in fact, the statements that they made to the police have been falsified, that they never said those things, they never made the allegations that the police say they are meant to have made. In relation to the very serious crime of human trafficking, which is a crime that requires evidence to show that you have taken people and you're moving them around, you're transferring them against their will, and you're coercing them by keeping them imprisoned and doing that. There is no tangible evidence that has been presented. In respect of those allegations where some of the complainants stick to their allegations and continue with them, as far as I'm aware, none of the information they are putting forward is detailed in any way. There are no concrete dates, places, and information given which would allow an accused to be able to prepare the case and defend themselves. It is one of the fundamentals of criminal law that you need to know what is the case that is alleged against you in detail. So you can, for example, say whether or not you were there at the time. In one of the cases, I understand that Mr. Bouachrine was in fact outside of the country at the date that is alleged, not even here. And then that date was removed from the allegation, and now we have no date still to say when this alleged act was due to take place. Now clearly that kind of allegation can't stand up in any court, in a court here or in a court in any country, and it's impossible to fairly defend yourself. So we are also highlighting that he is now not subject to a fair trial and proper due process, which is essential under national laws and international laws. And it's because of all of these reasons that we're saying the court should do the right thing and stop the proceedings. They shouldn't be allowed to go on. This is even more so the case because in his situation, he has been for many years a proponent of the freedom of expression and freedom of press in Morocco. And in his newspaper, he has been prepared to look at political facts, the important facts in this country in a very open and objective way. And he should not be silenced. He should be allowed to continue with this important work in Morocco. If there is no evidence against him, it is completely unfair to use these general allegations to keep him in prison and to keep him away from doing his very important work in Morocco. So for that reason as well, we are calling on the national authorities here to look very carefully at this case, to make sure that they are not in any way undermining the important principle of freedom of speech in this country, or freedom of the press, which is a cornerstone of any democratic society and which should be allowed to thrive in order to promote free thought and expression in a democratic society. We are saying that all steps will be taken within the national court to challenge his unlawful arrest and detention, also to challenge the fact that there's no evidence against him and the case should be stopped. But if necessary, we will also look immediately to take international action. We can take his case to international forums, including before the United Nations and before the African Union as well. Morocco has signed up to important international human rights law treaties. It has obligations like any other state, like the UK or like any other country, to protect the rights of people who are accused of crimes and also not to detain people in an arbitrary fashion.